Hello, this is Chike Onyeka Madueke once more, taking you through another site that the university has acquired. Now, while we're busy surveying the land at Ifitogwari, that's Ifitogwari campus of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Anambra State, Nigeria, the university acquired another 200 hectares in the village, from the village next to Ifitogwari, and it's called Umueje. So prior to today, I had gone with the local villagers through the sites, trying to pick out the boundaries of the land that they are making available to the university. So today, in conjunction with the Department of Surveying and Geoinformatics of the university, trying to we are trying to delineate the boundaries so that a map showing the boundary can be generated and made available to university, and of course eventually the MOU will be signed based on the boundaries generated. Now on this iPad you can still see the prior boundary that I have already generated prior to this actual survey. So with those points, in conjunction with the villagers who are also there, taking the people from the geoinformatics department through the site so that they can pick the proper boundary for onward transmission to the university authority. Now these are the villagers, the owners of the land, who are taking us through the site. You can see it's quite the vegetation is quite dense. We had to cut a path through the vegetation to pass through. These areas are not even that dense because these areas are basically more of grasslands. There are areas that are densely forested within this particular area of land, and there, of course, there are areas that are quite swampy. There are areas where you have swamp forests, so it's quite diverse in every respect also. But the job today is basically to get the proper boundary and, of course, generate a map of the land, and of course be sure of the actual size of the land that is being made available, which should be about 200 hectares like I mentioned earlier on. Subsequently we will talk about how to conduct the soil survey, the land use mapping, the land capability assessment, the land evaluation, and of course maybe even the assessment of the preponderance of degradation on the land, and of course the risk of degradation if certain measures are not really put in place to ensure sustainable use. Now this area is basically a rice field, like you can see. Behind you have more of the grasslands with lots of trees, but then within the section you see lowlands, swamps where rice can be grown. Of course, some rice is already grown there. If you watch behind the rover with the man with the rover and the GNSS receiver, you can see that that area behind him is quite a clear-cut rice field. This area is more of the grasslands adjacent to the rice field with sprinkling of trees and shrubs. Now, just looking around, you will see that there is a great deal of variation even within this setting in terms of the land cover types, and of course, eventually the land use differs. Even currently, the land use differs, and the land capability will also differ in terms of course, like I mentioned earlier on, the areas that are lowlands and swamps that can be used for rice, and the areas that are uplands and can only support upland crops. Of course, you can still grow rice there, but it should be upland rice varieties and not lowland or swamp rice varieties like you can see being grown in the areas just beyond where the man is digging the hole for the beacon. Now that hole over there is a hole where the beacon would be placed. Of course, there are lots of beacons that were placed at intervals along that boundary, so that when subsequently anybody comes there, you know there was that this is where there was a boundary that was put in place by the university. And of course, when we do our development and of course the mapping, the land use planning, all of these beacons will be taken into consideration to ensure that we don't move beyond the point where the university land ends. And of course, the fencing will also take that into consideration. Is more like quite essential, because it will avoid a conflict of interest between the local farmers who gave the land and of course the university who now owns the land. Having gone round, we are coming back right where we started, where the vehicle, the Hilux, is still waiting for us to arrive. After the job is done, it's done right now, eventually we'll clean up and of course move back into town, because this area is more like on the outskirts, far beyond where human habitation is preponderant. Thanks for the audience, and of course it's been good to have you move through this area with us.